and in today's video we are going over February predictions, whatever is important, whatever we want to talk about, confirm, support, change, reassure, whatever you need to know. It's going to pop up in the card reading today. By the way, guys, I missed you so much. I love you so much. I'm so happy to see you guys. I'd love to hear in the comments below how you've been, what you've been up to. I got really into, while I was away, paint by numbers and Legos. And also those diamond paintings. I love those. I love those so much. As much as I'm a creative person and I like to make original things, I do admit it's really nice to just turn off the brain and know something is going to be completed. And even though somebody else designed it, like in a paint by numbers, it feels really good to be like, nope, I did that. That's just nice to hang out. Please let me know, what are your favorite crafts? I'm always looking for some new crafts. Oh, I also rewatched the Queen's Gambit, and I am currently working on, I'll show you actually. I am currently working on, oh my God. I'm currently working on my very own chess set. It's not complete, but I am working on it. And like, look, this is a little, what's it called? Bishop. So instead of like a little bishop hat, they're a little owl witch. So I'll show you, if you want, I'll show you guys when it's complete. But I've been into playing chess, and that's been fun. I'm really trying to get in touch with quieting my mind more, to be honest with you. As much as I know this is like a bit of a tangent, but you know what, whatever. I would like to have more of these like fun, chill conversations for a second before we get into a reading. We're just hanging out. But as much as I'm very pro when it comes to spirituality, of just like, whatever works for you kind of thing, and like there's not really a reason to like overthink and limit things, because everything is so like subjective in the sense of how you view it spiritually. And I don't mean like in the sense of morals. I'm talking more about you'll be working through an idea, and then once you've worked through the idea and like healed it or understood it, you no longer need to focus on that part of your life in like concentrating on it so much. And what was once maybe like something you might have maybe needed to be aware of, no longer is like an issue anymore. You know what I mean? But so it's relative, like person to person. That's not always the case that somebody else needs to work on the same thing as someone else. That type of thing. You know what I mean? And so forth with other things, especially trivial things like fun fact, like you can be very deeply spiritual. I go to the spirit realm all the time. I'm in like deep connection with my psychic abilities, and like your girl like eats Cheetos and like sleeps when she wants, and like it doesn't matter, like you do you, whatever works for you kind of thing. But with that being in mind, though, the point I'm trying to say here is I just feel like social media is so dark. I think it's like, it just makes you feel like you want to be on it all the time, and I just don't feel like that's great for like the parts of our brain. And I mean, I'm talking about beyond the idea of like focus. It's like when you never get time periods where you're just quiet, there are parts of yourself you don't know that you could be benefiting from, like emotionally and spiritually and like mentally and other things like that, if you just had that second to like breathe. And you don't realize you're never giving yourself time to sort of like, detox from those things. So the point I'm trying to say here is I've definitely been allowing there to be like a lot more quiet moments, whether it be like an audiobook or just like straight up silence or something like that. And it's just been kind of bringing back like a part of my brain and being I didn't realize like I wanted to bring back or was gone or anything like that. And I'm just like even happier than I think I could be. Like, could have been. Like I didn't know I could be happier and, like, be much more at peace. So that's just, like, my 2 cents of my own personal journey. I mean, again, you do you, boo. But it's just something to contemplate if you're, like, going through your own personal thing. You're like, what could I do to, like, benefit myself right now? Yeah, like, turn stuff off and, like, do things that are more, like, in, like, the present moment. Like, make a chess set. That's what I'm advising. You should all make a chess set. If you do, though, I would love to see it. Anyways, let me stay focused. As per usual, though, I always faithfully update my Patreon because I so deeply appreciate the support. I love you guys so much. And if you are interested, please join us over there. Just fun fact, a lot of people aren't really fully aware of this. Yes, it is a way of supporting me in this channel, and I do deeply appreciate it. But while we do, like, do tarot readings over there and talk about tarot, it goes so far deeper than that. And a lot of people who join the Patreon have, like, no idea. They were like, I didn't know it, like, was like this. This is so cool. So I'm just letting you know it's out there. For example, like, so I go to the Akashic Records and I consult my spirit guides for, like, all this information. So I, like, double check everything and everything like that. But we did a part 2 on mermaids, and I went and, like, visited a mermaid and stuff like that to gain more information and stuff like that. It does, like, we do go into, like, a little bit of Lumeria and stuff like that. I did another tour of the Akashic Records, which was so fun because, like, everybody got to, like, know what's, like, their most like, interesting to them and compatible psychic ability they should work on now, and, like, tools for that. That was really fun. I love doing those tours. Those are really fun, like, spiritual field trips we all do together, which is a really good time. I did a channeled message from a magical being that I will just, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it was very unexpected and so fun. And people even said they, like, listened to it and felt flowy afterwards, which is super normal when I channel because, like, you can, like, feel their vibration coming off. I did do another major breakdown of some tarot cards and stuff like that, and channeled the archetypes there, and the list goes on. I put a bunch of videos up there. A really cool one. What do messages mean? Like, where do they come from? And, like, what does it mean depending on which one you get? I thought that one was super helpful once I figured that one out. So, yeah. You get what I'm saying. Guys, I hope you enjoyed my mini podcast in the beginning of all of this. Please leave a sparkly heart in the comments below if you listen to this whole thing, because I'm curious, and also I love you guys, and if you want me to occasionally ramble like this, I'd love to. Anyway, so let's get back to the February reading. Hold on to February in your mind. Think of yourself like almost like turning the calendar, or maybe you're hugging something that represents the idea of February. You could literally think of February as like a big plushie, and you're like hugging the font, which is fun. Anyways, hold on to that idea. You're going to pick from one of these 3 groups that resonates with you most as you hold on to that idea. We got group number 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group that you connect with most. Perfect. Okay, cool. I'm so sorry this was so long. Actually, I'm not sorry. You know what? I'm not sorry. I'll do it again. I really came in with the best of intentions to make it shorter, but yeah. Oh, also, reminder as always, if you're interested in any of these skill sets, I show how to do all of them in my courses below. You can check that out. Love you guys so much. Let's get started. Pre-happy Valentine's Day to you. And let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's look at your February predictions by looking at the cards. We've got Queen of Cups upright, 8 of Wands upright. This is giving me some really good vibes. We've got King of Swords upright, Oh wow, this is a vibe. 5 of Wands upright and 7 of Pentacles upright. Okay, I'm already getting a very strong impression right here, but before I jump to any conclusions, just give me one moment to look at all the details and consult my spirit guides. Okay, so first we're going to start off with some abrupt information, but stick with me here, it gets a lot better. But it is important that we acknowledge this type of energy that we're going to go over, because if we don't realize how we're creating our surroundings and interacting with it, then how can we then change it to be what we want it to be, essentially? So the biggest thing I'm picking up, very intense and heavy, is this negative, toxic, very masculine driven energy in multiple areas of your life. The biggest ones popping up over here, there is some positive, but the biggest ones popping up over here is we have either this is an authority figure, like someone like a camp counselor or a boss, but I also get a very strong older brother vibe, and they are pushing your buttons, asking you to do a lot of meaningless type of work to show that they have some form of control over you. They really are kind of pressing at parts of yourself that you shouldn't have to be brought into question, essentially. Now, the main thing I want you to see is what's hidden behind them in the butterflies. And on one hand, there is a positive aspect of this going on. There's a part of yourself that you've really needed to metamorphosize into, and you've been resisting. And there's a part of yourself that, as much as you push back to this individual, you're kind of staying in line, so to speak. You can't help but do what you're told, feel that this is what society expects of you. This is what you have to do to get this other job, or get to the next position, or this is what you think that you need to be fulfilling. And there's a part of you that won't let yourself change and be free from this and explore this other side of yourself. So this individual I know it's not comfortable initially, and I'll have something to say about this in a moment, but they are putting you in a position to be like, enough. I don't want to be spoken to this way. I don't have to deal with this. I'm tired. You know those things you think you're putting down? I'm actually quite confident about them. I like those parts of myself. Parts of yourself that you either might have been putting down yourself, or you were not aware that wherever you put your energy is what grows. And a lot of people aren't aware that they need to be proactive in their life when it comes to creating. So like people say things like, practice self-love, or have self-love, but then nobody actually sits down and meditates on the idea of giving themselves love. And you might have parts of yourself that you overlook that are just kind of cute little quirky moments. It's very much that vibe of when people talk about romanticizing their life. It's like you wake up and these things you overlooked suddenly become the most exciting thing ever, and it empowers you and propels you, which is an important part. And this interaction really heavily is bringing that out of you. Now, the one thing I did want to point out here, because I'm going to repeat this forever until people literally have it, tattooed into their brain and they are able to then use it to their benefit. But the way we receive messages from our experiences in life and the universe are completely dictated by how much empowerment and interaction we want to have with the universe and what we think we deserve. So if you ever are having an interaction where you don't love it, right? And it means something, and you understand you're gaining some lesson or benefit from it, you are allowed to say to the universe, show it to me in a different way. I don't like this. I don't want this anymore. You're allowed to do that. You're meant to push back and say, this is what I deserve. I demand better, and have it happen in a different way. This then makes you realize that you can have this type of more positive experience in any way you receive messages or interact with the universe in every aspect of your life. But it's also to acknowledge that on some level, there's a part of yourself that wasn't going to make that option on your own. And you basically said to the universe, I really want to change. Help me make that happen. And the universe said, okay, well, we're trying to send you the other stuff and you're not accepting it. So let's send this option. And this can be something you tell yourself in the future and are accountable, that there are times when you're going to need to like step into your power more on your own, and you don't need this type of negative interaction. But the beautiful thing is it is propelling you into a positive metamorphosis. Then, on the other hand, we have this sort of more, and this, again, feels very work heavy. Let me just check if it's anything else. I'm hearing predominantly work heavy, might be a friend group situation, but predominantly work heavy. There is this very strong feeling of all of a sudden it feels like all of the very toxic masculine figures in your workspace really come to the forefront of your interactions. It doesn't mean there aren't other individuals and more positive interactions with both genders, but these people are really like interacting with you the most, going at, like, you kind of keep falling into their surroundings and their annoying sensibilities, but it's a lot of them having these type of what I call middle world type of conversations. What I mean by when I say that is the spirit realm is broken up into 3 different sections. And in the upper and the lower part of the section of the spirit realm, this is where you basically get to interact the more positive stuff and really get to, see all the different parts of yourself, see all the parts of the universe. It's a much more positive aspect. But the middle world, which is in alignment to our reality, so it's like it's like a veil, it's like right on the other side. It's not the veil, it's like right next to us, basically is meant to trap you into a circle that doesn't go anywhere, essentially. That's why if you ever hear me use the term, oh, that's a middle world conversation, that's a middle world thought, it's this idea of like, we're not getting anywhere, nothing's changing, this is not propelling us into a new direction, that type of thing. But the interesting thing about middle world, conversations and interactions, that type of thing, is there's an enticing quality to them. You want to retort back. You want to say, like, enough is enough. You want to give your 2 cents because you have smart things to say and great viewpoints. But the thing is, these individuals want to stay stuck because sometimes that's how it is in these type of interactions and these type of people and these phases of their life. And anybody, and many of us have been in these phases in our life. They want to stay there. So sometimes you're getting pulled in on purpose, like they're including you into the conversation. And other times you just sort of walk by and you just can't resist giving an explanation. But a lot of it is not only pulling you into a conversation that doesn't go anywhere and really riles you up and doesn't, like, you definitely feel like worse and feel negative from these experiences. You don't like them, right? Don't worry, we can change this, keep this in mind. We have to talk about it in order to change it. But I'm getting a very heavy sense of like ridicule towards you, like a sense of like, oh, they don't know. And you're like, yeah, I do actually know, and a kind of a belittling type of vibe, which again is what infuriates you so much, but also pulls you back in to be like, you know what? You know what I mean? Give your 2 cents, essentially. Now, there's something important I want you to look at right here. So if you notice with this card right here, do you notice that amongst all of these people arguing, their wand is connected to this seam that holds together this entire form. So this picture couldn't even be in existence and be held together unless this person kept engaging with it. And the vibe I want you to think about is, in sometimes like those fun fantasy books, somebody gets like tied up in like magical vines that every time they struggle, it gets tighter. That's kind of the concept going on here. And the way you want to, so to speak, pull this proverbial thread, so to speak, in order to then untie this situation to you, you're not trapped in this anymore, is essentially walking away. You are going to resist with all of your heart, none of the baiting. That's what the biggest thing I want you to pull away from a lot of these concepts is when you have these type of negative experiences in life, they're baiting you. Not just the individual, but like the situation itself, the energy. And as much as it's tempting to respond, you are not less of a person, less strong, nothing by not standing up for yourself, not interacting. It's not that. It's that they're trying to sort of like energy vampire you, if you will, and you're basically making the decision to go, ha ha ha, I see your trap, I will not fall for it, and you essentially pull that thread and it all comes undone because you're not feeding that energy and you're pulling away from it. So while we are talking about it being here and you sense these little energies popping up, the more you just ignore it, don't respond, walk away, don't even give your 2 cents, even if you disagree with it. And I don't even mean just to their faces, I mean in your mind. Like, let it go. You know where you stand. Move on. Find things that make you much happier in life, better ways to spend your time. And not only do these energies stop showing up like as often, by like midway through the month, towards the end of the month, they're just gone. Like, you don't see them anymore. So we're basically changing your reality. We're talking about that it's there, and then essentially you make it go away because you will not feed it or interact with it at all. Now, going forward, we do have a much more positive masculine energy. Again, I'm getting a strong, masculine type of vibe. This could be straight up. I'm getting more straight up a guy. I mean, it could just be a masculine individual, but I'm getting straight up an interaction of a guy who's really going out of their way to help you this month during all of this. And I want to point out something interesting here, though. There's a slight bit of tension behind it. Not that they're resentful of you, I don't get that vibe, but they're definitely seeing that you're struggling with this and going out of their way to like give you that extra support and help you in that kind of way. But they are sort of feeding a little bit on your tension. It's that feeling of like, something's wrong, I just want to fix it. How can I help type of vibe. So this is just a nice little comfort of knowing that there's somebody else there supporting you. But I do want to point out that it doesn't have to, everything we talked about, that was the more not as fun to hear about part of the reading. Keep in mind, we talk about it so we fix it. We can actually change all of this to be for the better. We talked about how to change this here. This is not unlike this situation. If you recognize that this interaction is happening to force you to metamorphosize, step into that role of the individual who thinks the best of themselves, who already sees that they can be treated better, should be treated better, but not in a way where you're like, I demand it, but just saying like, it's expected. Like, I, of course, am somebody that people want to see in a role of authority, even above this individual. I'm somebody who deeply loves all these little parts of myself proactively. As you step more into that part of yourself, instead of out of resistance, but by choice, this also goes away. I'm also getting, let me just check with my spirit guide real quickly. Ooh, I'm getting, because I was like, I kind of get this really strong feeling like they're going away. I'm like, are they getting fired? I hear they get moved to a different department. So talk about a big 180 that you can change by the end of this month. Again, by being proactive. And then this individual who's helping you, instead of them just helping you and making your life easier, and February overall being an easier month because of this support, it's a support that's a positive, fun memory building between the two of you. So you feel more excited by their help and they feel more relieved in your presence, rather than everyone just like trying to manage the overall anxious vibes in the room. And again, this is not meant to be like a shaming comment to be stressed out or anything like that. Not at all. I'm just saying that what is one already a great thing can be even better, essentially. So remember these things so that not only you can change these situations fast and have a really nice February, but this also extra wonderful experience goes from just pure support to support and fun, happy little like dates and interactions and hangouts and fun times and memory building, in addition to that, which is really beautiful. Now, over here is really interesting. In the Eight of Wands, I'm getting a very strong, very predominant, I could see this version of you inside my head, but it's a younger version of yourself internally and the feminine side of yourself. So you really want to cater to this because it's coming in strong in respect to all of this. So this would be the part of yourself that never got to really play dress up when you were little, or honestly playing with toys, if you got a Lego set or something like that. It's very strongly that type of vibe, silly and sweet, really vulnerable, really creative, beautiful and playful just for the sake of it type of thing. But it's this energy is sort of popping up in February and being I will not be ignored. Please give me attention. Give me what I need. But also there is this really intense flow that comes from it. It's the more you feed it and put all your energy here rather than giving into these interactions, not only does this help give you that extra support and confidence to get into the headspace we talked about here, but I do get this strong, you fully shift realities type of thing. It's what seemed like a silly impromptu feeling just is a full change in your 180 of your life, a full okay, I guess we're here now by the end of the month in a really positive way, which is fun and awesome. So it's giving into this younger feminine side of yourself is essentially opening up for opportunities that, yes, it could for sure be something really unexpected, like a job or something like that. For sure, I do see inklings of that. But think of opportunities being more oh, I guess we're going to this cool new place I've never been to. Oh, wow, I've never thought of trying out that new craft. Look at this fun new skill I have. Oh, I made a new friend. Oh, I reconnected with somebody in a way we haven't, talked about in years and hung out in that kind of way. It's very that type of vibe and those type of opportunities. And then last but not least, we have sort of a wild card, if you will, in the Queen of Cups. So you meet someone new. Let me just double check that with my spirit guide. Very new. And they are an older female, and you just are immediately drawn to them, and you feel so much respect for them, and there's just an admiration there because they really have their stuff together. But the interesting thing is they don't have their stuff together because they're just so well organized and so informed of all these little tips and tricks people don't tell you about adulthood. It's that they just have this radical level of self-acceptance. So if they mess up or they look a little disheveled, there's just such a sense of inner peace and I am where I need to be type of thing. And it feels very feminine, very flowy, going with the wind, just very much like this picture and this picture here. And it feels almost while you're connecting to this younger side of yourself, you're seeing somebody who has put that into play for their lifetime, and you're really getting to see that and admire that and basically interact with them and start to learn from them and build this really unique friendship, which is really beautiful. So I love that for you. And I love that overall, this is a month where there is a lot more change than you were probably expecting. But the important thing is there is an opportunity here for you to be an active participant in your life by being aware of how the universe works and taking charge of that and understanding how you're proactive in both choosing to interact and when not to interact just dramatically changes the climate and environment that you're in. And I love that for you. And just a lot of fun, flowy times. I love that for you. Very, very appropriate with February being so sweet and feminine. So please let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, please feel free to like, comment, share, hit that notification bell and subscribe and all that good jazz. I love you so much. I'm so happy to see you again. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Group number two. Group number two. Let's find out your February predictions by looking at the cards. Got Queen of Swords in reversed, 9 of Pentacles in reversed, 10 of Swords in reversed, Knight of Swords in reversed. Oh, and another Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay. I get this really strong feeling. By the way, if you can hear crinkling, I don't think you can. I gave my cat a paper bag to play in. So Peach is preoccupied and happy in its little paper bag. But going on to what we were saying, back to what we were saying. This, to me, so I always call this mirroring cards. When there's like two cards that repeat, especially if they are in the same position, it's important. And the fact that they are on the ends of the cards is something I talk about in my tarot training course. But something I notice here that's really interesting is when it comes to this type of cards is it can go anyway. It can imply how things change. It could imply, oh, this is where it pivots over here. I'm getting this strong feeling that this is a bit of one thing is affecting the other and it doesn't quite let up, if you will. And I'm just going to look into the details of this real quickly to get the rest of the information. But I want to obviously help you change that so that we don't have a loop around type of habitual sort of experience or a thing you regularly have to deal with going forward. So just give me one moment to look at everything. Yes, okay, perfect. I'm glad I did pick that up. So let's get into this. So first we're going to start off with the Queen of Swords in reverse. And this shows you trying to open up a conversation with somebody and they're pretty resistant to the idea of it. You're like, hey, we need to talk about this. This has been an issue for a while. And keep in mind the Queen of Swords honestly has a lot of good intentions. She definitely is somebody who's like, hey, I feel that if we just put it all out there and we're, brutally honest, or preferably without the intensity, but you're just very upfront, you could say, we are saving each other, wasted time. We're no longer beating around the bush. This is so much better if we just get to the problem and avoiding it. And I get like this almost inkling or feeling that the other person is maybe potentially not full on passive aggressive, but you can tell they're making it clear through passive ways that something has been up for a while with them. And you've, actively been like, you okay? And like you can feel it and you're like, all right, let's just sit down and talk about it. But despite through their actions, they clearly want to talk about it too. And that's an important thing. Their actions are trying to imply they want you to ask about. They want to have this conversation on a subconscious level. On the conscious level, there is a resistance of facing this head on. And with the Queen of Swords, she is a head on type of girl. And that's not something you're doing wrong, but that's just something to understand like energetically where the two of you are at. You can handle the upfrontness, and while they want to have the conversation and kind of get it all out, they can't, and they're really struggling with it. Now, I do see that the conversation, nonetheless, despite the resistance, does happen. So in the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, you want to look at the imagery here of the hawk. So if it was upright, the way my spirit guide was describing it is, this hawk would be greeting this individual who is just to give you the visual, who is just like hanging out, having a great time. Look at how wealthy she is. She's surrounded by pentacles. She's thriving. Everything's awesome for her. But in reverse, she's unfortunately being attacked by the hawk. So this is predominantly about, interestingly enough, the main issue in question is about money with your financial success. I'm also getting a strong vibe of just you in general thriving. It's like you're really finding your flow in happiness, and you are, it almost feels like separate from them. Not like you're separating from them, but you are no longer letting whatever is going on in their world like affect you, and you're just mostly you're thriving essentially, which is like a great part about your February. You're really finding what makes you happy. You're going for it without feeling self-conscious about it, and thriving and having fun. So part of it is that you are financially successful. Let me just ask if there's an undertone to this of you making even more money in February. Oh, my spirit guide kind of gave like a big eyes and was like a lot of money. Okay, that's great. February is a very financially profitable month for you. But while you're thriving in just both, and I want to point this out, you always want to pick up subtext here with tarot. It appears that it is directly linked to you finding your happiness. So keep finding what makes you feel good. Keep separating yourself from other people. Not as in like isolating yourself, separating yourself from like, you're not taking on whatever perspective or whatever mood they're in, and you're just really in your own element and just giving that to yourself constantly. If you want to get a little treat, if you want to buy something fun and cute or something you've always wanted, an impulse buy, you're having a great time really thriving in that. And, of course, feeling financially comfortable with it. So it's like multiple levels of success in finance for you, which is awesome for February. So I want to point that out. But we also want to keep that going for you. And it appears that your desire to have this conversation with this other individual, it's important. Like, you want to keep them in your life. You know what I mean? It's not simple as being like, I dislike you, I hate you, get out of here. You want to make it work. You want to figure it out. So they don't know that's why they're mad at you. And it's almost like sometimes the conversation, as you try to bring it up and be like, what's going on? What's wrong with us? Like, what's happening here? It doesn't always feel like they're directly attacking the idea at first of money or you being happy. It might sound like what they're bringing up doesn't quite make sense. And you're like, they'll make their point and you're like, okay, but why is that making you mad at me? What's happening? What did I do wrong? And then over time, as they are expressing themselves, it sounds like you're both going to have that epiphany. It sounds like you're more conscious of it first, of realizing why they're upset, which we just discussed, the financial success, the general, like, you're thriving in your moment success. And this is where it's a good thing. It gets more positive. So the conversation appears to be worth it, and eventually you both make it through it. And the main thing that ends the conversation for good, which I'm really happy to hear for you, it sounds like what ended the problem between the two of you ends up being them entering their journey of healing that part of themselves, which is they realize they're not mad at you. They have a personal relationship issue with money, and they also have some issues maybe giving themselves personal happiness. It feels like they're not quite able to identify what that exactly is, essentially. Like, they want to be happy, they just don't know how to make themselves happy, and you just seem to be doing it so effortlessly. And they realize that's a them problem, and they connect to that they can easily go rebuild a more positive relationship with money, with themselves, by themselves, no problem. They can learn to figure out what they like. They're allowed to give themselves permission to have fun. You're there to support them and happy for them if they want to change that. But it definitely is an awakening of them separating these core issues from you, which is great. And I give them a lot of credit because not everybody is able to do that. And so not only does the beef basically get squashed between the two of you and it's no longer an issue, it's like like it's gone, it's done, it's not a problem. But they do end up starting their own personal journey, not as in the two of you, like, so if this is romantic, it's not, there's no breakup. It's like the conversation itself is over, but internally on their own, they start their own personal journey. Like, it might be better for the two of you, whether this be like friends or romantic or something, like it's going to be better between the two of you. They are, starting their journey with that. Now, going forward, though, this is really interesting because we talked about this sense of resistance when you started the conversation with them. And that idea doesn't seem to go away with your interactions with other people. Again, remember, you're coming at people with this, like, hey, you want to talk, openness, and you're getting back resistance. We want to understand why that's an issue. And it doesn't feel, I'll just say this before we even go into it, because I already know why this is. It doesn't feel like, oh, I don't know why this is happening, this is random. You can sense there is something under the surface, even in you, and you don't quite know why. You can like feel something's off, but you can't quite put it into words. And situationally, everything else seems logical, that it is just other people's problem and not yours, because you are making the effort to be open and want to have communication and stuff like that. So we'll get into that in one second. So a really important part, and my spirit guide did stress this, that you really want to focus over the course of February of seeking compliments verbally. That's really important for you. You want to actively bring that into your life. So you want to do that through a combination of just full-on manifesting. Like if you've got a little manifestation journal or a vision board or whatever, you want to write down, like, I get compliments all the time. People tell me all the time how great I am. And remember, compliments are not limited to the way we look. They could be whatever we've come up with ideal-wise, or our personality, or us as a person, as a soul. So you just want to keep that like as open as possible. And you also are welcome to go around, and I know this sounds goofy, and I triple checked with my spirit guide because I was like, are you sure? They said that you really want to go around and literally like enter a room and be like, don't I look great? Like, get the conversation going and let everyone else know that the new expectation that you will be complimented. One of the main things that's important here is that you want to feel this influx of connecting with other people and yourself, this complementary aspects of yourself. You don't want to just silently anymore, when people take it as like they think that they're more humble by never kind of reaching for that type of appreciation. Like, it's okay to be like, hey, I want to be appreciated. I want someone to like let me know that I'm great or beautiful or whatever. Like, it's okay to reach for those things. And this is you not realizing you needed that and then manifesting it, letting people know that's what you want, putting it out there, letting it be a regular thing. Remember, these are just like quick moments of people being like, you're so great. And you're just like, yeah, I am. And you feel it and you're feeling good in that way. Now, this is important because all of this had to do with a combination of you being open, feeling more loving, and this is the important part. It involved verbal communication. Verbal communication for, I'm so sorry if you can, my cat's adjusting their little paper bag. Sorry about that. They're just playing around. So anyways, going forward, sorry, I'm just thinking, isn't it so fun how cats are so easily entertained? I love it. So anyways, going forward, please leave in the comments below how, if you have a cat, how it's having, like, does it like cardboard boxes? What's it doing? So anyways, this is important to reflect on over here because at the end of the month, while this is sorted out between you and this other individual, it does predict you going out of February and it's still being an issue where before people are able to express themselves to you, there is this sense of resistance, this it being difficult to get into it. Some people might not even want to enter into a conversation if they're not good at conflict resolution. And while you're open and willing to talk and hear and listen and work with it, again, you're not getting that back. And instead, you're getting sort of like a build up to a conversation of like we talked about with the passive aggressive tendencies. Now, the important thing here is, I know this sounds ridiculous, but stick with me here. We can unknowingly, we create our reality And there can be some aspect of ourselves creating that internally. Now, I know at first you're like, what do you mean? I'm coming at conversations open and honest. But the idea is this concept, sorry, I'm trying not to ramble. I'm just trying to find the right words for it. It's kind of similar to like, you know, when people who are lovely and nice keep entering relationships that are like really bad, like really negatively one-sided towards them. And you're like, what do you mean? They did not, you know, like ask for that or anything like that. Of course they did. No. But they, in their heart of hearts, on some level, are projecting that they think they deserve that experience. I don't want to say that take what I'm saying with like a grain of salt. I'm just trying to generalize it. That's like an example I can think of. That's not always the case every time. We're not trying to blame people for their personal experiences. Never thing like that. But it is something to think about, that when people realize and are like, nope, I'm better than this, I don't want that, those relationships do tend to magically go away. Or like another example is like, you know, when some people tend to be the person everybody turns to for advice, but then they're not there for them as an individual. It's like they use them for the advice, but then they're not inviting them out or anything like that. And eventually the advice person goes, wait a minute, you know what? I'm going to kind of like pull back a little bit. I'll still give advice to my like really close loved ones, but I'm not going to just be readily available for that anymore. You've got to be friendship first. And again, those people magically disappear. Again, do you see what I'm saying about being just like aware of what we're underlying creating in the universe in order to put in front of ourselves, in order to better understand what it is we are asking and wanting. Like you're saying, I want change, and they're giving you a situation to say, so what would you do in order to make this change happen? Here's the situation forcing you into that change. So the forcing you into change is, while you may be open to the conversation when people need to have in it, you're not starting it enough actively. You're not being proactive enough and again, this goes back to verbal, in your life, of setting the tone of what you want to have as an experience. And I'm not saying you're going around saying, I demand respect, but you're going around going, I really, on some level, want to be loved a little bit deeper and a little more excitingly. I want to feel like the main character. I want to feel special and be told I'm special and accept that. Because think about it. This individual, when you went to go, hey, I'm listening to you, this resistance you were getting from them, on some level, they didn't have enough self-love to acknowledge what they wanted for themselves. And instead, it just came across as hate towards you and your success. So on some level for yourself, you're craving a version of that. It doesn't look like this, but it's that you're on some level, you too want that from people. You want to hear appreciation. Now your version is different, and the beautiful thing is you create it. So you start to put out into the universe, I want to be told I'm great. I want to hear regularly from people that I'm doing well and I did great in that promotion or something like that. And then what ends up happening is you're then creating this openness where not only are you simultaneously open to having conversations if they need to be had, but you're saying to the universe, I'm already creating a flow where I don't need to attract people in my life who don't know how to put their feelings out there, because I've learned to put my feelings out there. And so you only end up running into people that also put their feelings out there, just like you are when it comes to the actual, like when it comes to the end point of the conversation, you're open, but you're not practicing openness prior starting it. And so you're going to change that this month, and you are going to have this wonderful little exercise, resolve this issue with this other individual, squash it for good. Really realize how the more you treat yourself better, the more successful you are, the more you let people know what you would like out of the interactions with other people, the more you get that back, which then creates only more of that, and then naturally filters out those experiences you didn't love prior. So isn't that great? I love that for you. It's a very, thriving, striving, strong month with like a touch of vulnerability. And I think that's a perfect month. A very knightly month. So please let me know what you think in the comments below. I love hearing what you guys say and think. Also, feel free to like, share, hit that notification bell, subscribe, help a girly. I love you guys so much. I'm so happy to see you guys again, and I'll see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's look at your February predictions by looking at the cards. Oh, very good. Knight of Cups upright. The Star card in reverse. The World card in reverse. 10 of Cups upright. Oh, that's so confusing. It's Knight of Cups, but this totally is Page of Cups vibes, which I'm getting heavy energy from. And then we have Queen of Cups. Okay, give me just 1 second to look at all the details and consult my spirit guides, and I'll be with you in a moment. And by the way, if you can hear any sounds, I do apologize. I have a cat, Peach, and he is eating some food right now. He's eating his little kibbles, you know, crunching away, so don't mind his Captain Crunch. Or you might sometimes, by the way, hear him in a paper bag. I give him a paper bag to play with. Okay, let's get into this. So, Knight of Cups upright is just very appropriate for the theme of February in general on a more traditional scale. But it is a very loving, affectionate month for you. Like, if you're currently with somebody, it is just amped up more than it normally is. And if you don't have somebody, we're going to be getting to that in a moment, you will be, and you will be receiving just a lot of cuddling, love, sweetness, presence, lots of emotional vulnerability of just being like, you're cool, I like you, I want to let you know I like you type of thing, which is really sweet. And you'll notice it actually pops up again, which is important, and we'll talk about in a moment. Now, something that's really interesting is mostly this month is extremely positive, but despite its positivity, we don't want to get distracted is the best way I can put it. So in the Star card in reverse, my spirit guide was telling me that while you will really enjoy this month is a bit of a detour from your main path. So if you notice while you are enjoying this encounter with this other individual or your current person and you're really just feeling connected to them, you're noticing other things in your life are not out of sync, but they're not gaining any momentum. Now, it's okay, because as my spirit guide put it, sometimes we need to kind of deviate from our path in order to better understand how we want to revise it or how we want to go about approaching it when we get back on the path. So it's okay that like February is a bit of a pause in other parts of your life in order to kind of enjoy this wonderful distraction. And I don't know if I would call it distraction, considering like you're gaining stuff from the experience, both just like happiness wise, but like learning wise they're going to take forward with you on the path. But it's important to know, and we're going to come back to that idea again gets repeated. It's very important that you don't want to let this become a distraction past February, and I'll explain that more again when we get to the end of the card reading. Now, this is sort of a standalone question. It feels very much like it's on its own. Let me just ask my spirit guide if it's at all related to this other individual. Oh, very much so. Interesting. Was it negative? Very. Okay, fun. Woo! I'm being very sarcastic when I say that. So the way my spirit guide was describing it earlier when I was like looking at all the details of the card is that if you look at all this, like pretend you're the person in the middle and all of these individuals are, it feels predominantly family vibed. Let me ask if it's other people. Just family. Okay. Oh, I thought I was going to have to pause it from sirens. Nope. The way psych. Literally, I paused the camera and then it stopped again. So these individuals, your family unit, the way it was described to me is your life is their life rather than your life being your own. And my spirit guide sort of put it out there not as sort of a prediction, but something you're aware is a reoccurring problem. And not seeing so much of a solution right now, but more of something that you want to just sort of contemplate and hold on to that. I'm so sorry if you can hear my cat like battling my couch right now. Anyways, back to what we were saying. You just want to hold that question in your head and say, what would you rather prefer? Do you feel like you're living your life for them? Or do you feel like you're doing it all for yourself and that you're not letting them influence or control, things like that? And I'll just leave it at that. Just something to consider. Are you comfortable with that idea that we said in the very beginning? Now, going forward from that idea, we got the 10 of Cups, which is a huge 180 vibe. So this is extreme bliss. Again, I always describe 10 of Cups as my ooey gooey card. Like if you get this card, there's a lot of cuddling, a lot of like hanging out, watching movies and just feeling so comfy and at home, that type of vibe. But the biggest thing we're getting from this card is just intense bliss with either the partner you're currently with or this other individual, which I did ask, and this is like soulmate status. Like this is your person. Is it your person for, you know what? Let's not get too deep, too far ahead of our lines. The point is you do get together with them. And let me just double check that. Yes. Okay, good. So you do get together with them and it just feels amazing. And there's just a lot of like, it flows nicely. It feels healthy. It's happy. It's wonderful. It's a really good time. And again, we go back to the Knight of Cups. Again, this individual or the individual you're with now really pours it on, like really just lets you know in all the ways we talked about over here by being close to you in that kind of way. And it's wonderful. You just feel like you're walking on cloud 9 from how great you feel and how appreciated you feel. And all of the, like hugs and different things like that. And you're having such a great, wonderful time. But the kind of important part that we want to keep in mind here is the Queen of Cups. And again, not trying to rain on your parade or anything like that. This is so wonderful that you've had this random burst of just like sublime happiness and love. Like that's so wonderful. But my spirit guide said you want to caution and be aware that your emotional balance isn't based on what you're getting from this person. So you do want to, I don't want to say control your daydreaming. You just want to check in with yourself pretty regularly and ask yourself, am I happy in other areas of my life? Like if this individual wasn't giving me this extra bonus of like love and happiness, like am I doing things in my own free time that give me happiness from like fun hobbies? Do you have a nice healthy routine where you're like taking care of yourself, like you're brushing your teeth, you're going for walks or whatever you're doing? Are you feeling like you're moving towards a job you do feel happy in, or are you trying to make the job you're currently in more comfortable and more what you want it to be? Are you enjoying where you're at in life in that kind of way? Are you giving yourself personal just like self-love and being positive towards yourself and affirmations towards yourself? Like, are you like still your own individual happiness filler, if you could put it that way, without this other individual? Because you don't want your emotions to then only be dictated by this other person in the interactions with you going forward. And that's something really important. Like this is a lovely gift that you can enjoy and you don't have to hold yourself back from them. That's not the message here. You just want to kind of check in with yourself and be mindful you're not getting lost in it. Because back to what we were saying, this month is a bit of a distraction away from the main course you have in life, and this individual can be a part of that main path and course that you can be on. But you want to be mindful as you carry all of this nice interaction you're having with them once you pop back on the path after February. Wait, are they going to get back on the path after February? More like April. Okay, well then enjoy February and March with this person. Woo woo. That's awesome. But then in April, you want to really say to yourself, how am I bringing this person into like the other parts of my life? Am I being aware of these other things? If for whatever reason this other person wasn't in the mood to give me this type of attention, or they were in a bad mood, or something happened, or we're not manifesting that. I'm just saying, if something were to happen, are you still finding happiness from yourself and knowing you can produce it for yourself from yourself type of thing? So overall, very positive, very happy, really fun. I love this for you. But some things to just keep in mind, because it's interesting, because we talk about how on this channel, how things that seem bad or negative aren't always. Sometimes the good is still good, but you want to be aware of it. And it's also something to keep in mind that's really important, because you might have moments, and this is where I could definitely see, and I'm getting kind of like a future vision, if you will, of I could see you having such a good time with this other individual, but because you are technically off your path for like a good month or two, let me just double check with my spirit guide that that's correct. Very correct, they said. Okay. When you are off this path, you could suddenly check back into your life mentally and realize, oh my gosh, I haven't seen, I didn't get that promotion I wanted. I'm not making more money in this area I wanted. Oh no. And then all of a sudden your mood dramatically changes and you feel off course or off balance, or you feel bad. And the thing that's important here is, one, you want to be in control of your own self, and that's one of the reasons to keep in mind of your own emotional balance in that kind of way. But two, you can just remind yourself, nope, everything's okay. Everything else is a little bit on pause right now because I'm learning some stuff about myself and I'm bringing it into my path. I'm making my path even better. I'm revising it. I'm leveling it up. It's going to be even better when I get back on that. So you don't have to take the lack of momentum in other parts of your life as like a negative foreshadowing of anything. So it's just like some reassurance, which is nice. So I love this for you. It's a very cute month for you. Very cute indeed. Extra happy Valentine's Day to you. I love you so much. Please leave a comment, share, help a girl out. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. How's it like you would not believe? I am wishing you the best. I'm so happy I get to see you again. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!